Most people don't realize that the process of muscle loss, what scientists call sarcopenia, starts earlier than expected. By the time you hit your 30s, your body begins to slowly but surely reduce its ability to maintain and build lean muscle mass. And if you're not actively doing something about it, you can lose anywhere from 3 to 8% of your muscle every single decade. That might not sound like a lot right now, but over time it creates a compounding effect, especially if your diet is lacking in quality protein and you're not engaging in resistance-based movement. Here's what's even more surprising. This isn't just about how you look. It's not about aesthetics or wanting to appear strong. Muscle is deeply tied to metabolic health, brain function, insulin sensitivity, and even your longevity. So when you start losing it, you're not just getting weaker physically, you're accelerating the aging process across your entire system. Your metabolism slows, blood sugar regulation becomes harder, and your joints start to take on stress your muscles should be managing. Everything gets harder, from walking up the stairs to maintaining mental clarity. The body is incredibly adaptive, and it responds to what you do consistently. If your days are filled with sitting, processed carbs, and low protein meals, your body assumes it no longer needs that muscle. It down-regulates the systems that maintain it. The muscle fibers shrink, mitochondria become less efficient, and hormonal signals like testosterone and growth hormone decline. But here's the good news. The same way your body adapts to inactivity, it can adapt, often rapidly, to positive stress and nutrient density. Protein is one of the key levers here, but it's not just any protein. You need a certain type in a certain amount at a certain time. The timing becomes critical because as you age, the threshold needed to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, the process that builds muscle, goes up. A young person might need 20 grams of protein to activate this process. Someone older might need 30 or 40 grams in a single meal to hit that threshold. Many people don't meet this. They start their day with toast or cereal, go light on lunch, and maybe get a good protein portion at dinner, if at all. But that pattern leaves their body in a suboptimal state most of the day. Muscle breakdown subtly outpaces muscle building day after day. And that's how the decline starts, not with a crash, but with a quiet, daily erosion. What's worse is that many of the so-called healthy protein options we rely on today are either incomplete, low in leucine, the amino acid that triggers muscle growth, or filled with fillers that slow absorption. You could be consuming plenty of grams on paper, but if the amino acid profile isn't right, or if the digestion is too slow, you might never trigger the muscle building response your body needs. So, if you're someone who's getting older, and that means anyone over 30, you have to start thinking of muscle as a currency. Every bite you take either funds it or drains it, and every decade you wait, your body raises the cost of rebuilding. The good news is that it's never too late to start. Clinical studies have shown that even individuals in their 70s and 80s can build new muscle when they get the formula right, when they combine the right protein, taken in the right way, with progressive resistance exercise and sufficient recovery. This isn't just about turning back the clock, it's about stopping the clock from accelerating. The first step, recognize that what you've been told about aging and strength is outdated. You don't lose muscle because you age. You lose muscle because of what you stop doing as you age, and that changes the moment you decide to show up differently. Now, when most people think about protein, their minds immediately go to eggs. And for good reason. Eggs have long been considered one of the most complete and bioavailable protein sources out there. They've got all the essential amino acids, are relatively affordable, and easy to prepare. But what if I told you there's a protein out there that actually beats eggs when it comes to muscle building potential, not just matches it, or passes it in terms of how efficiently it stimulates muscle protein synthesis, supports recovery, and promotes lean mass retention, especially as we age? This protein source is often overlooked because it doesn't come from the typical animal-based categories like meat, poultry, or dairy. Yet what makes it so powerful isn't just its amino acid composition, it's how rapidly and completely it's absorbed by the body. See, one of the most critical amino acids for building muscle is leucine. Leucine acts like a molecular switch. When you consume enough of it in a single dose, it flips on the muscle, building machinery in your cells. Now here's the catch. Many traditional proteins, including eggs, might not deliver enough leucine per serving to hit that activation point, especially in older individuals whose anabolic sensitivity has declined. But this particular protein does. It contains a leucine content so high that it crosses the threshold quickly, triggering muscle protein synthesis with less volume required. That's a game changer. Because if your goal is to stay strong, energetic, and metabolically active as you age, you don't just want to eat protein. You want to absorb and utilize it effectively. And that's where this egg-beating protein shines. Let's talk about digestion and bioavailability for a moment. Not all proteins are processed the same way in your body. Some proteins, especially those with complex structures or added fillers, are slow to digest. That means they take longer to break down into amino acids, and the timing of their release into the bloodstream becomes erratic. This slows down the muscle building signal. On the other hand, this protein I'm referring to is incredibly clean. It's free from lactose, free from unnecessary binders, and it digests fast. That makes it ideal not only post-workout, when your muscles are most hungry for nutrients, but also first thing in the morning, when your body has gone hours in a catabolic, muscle-breaking state during sleep. Another advantage is its effect on satiety and metabolism. This protein doesn't just feed your muscles. It keeps you full longer, stabilizes blood sugar, and supports fat loss while preserving lean mass. That's incredibly important because as we age, we become more insulin resistant. And one of the best ways to combat that is to increase muscle tissue, which acts as a sponge for glucose. The more muscle you have, the more resilient your body becomes metabolically. And this protein facilitates that by promoting muscle retention while minimizing excess fat accumulation. Now, people often ask, can I just eat more eggs or drink more whey shakes? Sure, you can. But if you're looking for efficiency, if you want to maximize the muscle building signal without consuming massive quantities of food, then switching to a source that offers higher leucine per gram, faster absorption, and cleaner digestion gives you a significant edge. In fact, some recent clinical studies showed that participants who used this protein experienced up to 30% greater lean muscle gains compared to those using traditional protein sources like whey or casein, all while maintaining better digestive comfort and fewer inflammatory markers. We live in a world where every choice we make either supports muscle maintenance or contributes to muscle loss. And in that landscape, choosing the most effective protein becomes one of the most powerful health decisions you can make, not just for your body, but for your mind, your energy, and your future. Most people think building muscle is all about how much protein you eat, but they completely overlook when and how you eat it. And that's a huge mistake, because your body isn't just a container that stores nutrients until it needs them. It's a dynamic system that responds to timing, internal states, and even your brain's readiness to absorb and use fuel. The truth is, the timing and dosage of protein matter just as much, sometimes even more, than the total amount you consume in a day. Let's talk about timing first. There are windows during the day when your body is naturally more sensitive to insulin and more primed for nutrient absorption. One of the most critical of these windows is right after you wake up. Overnight, your body enters a catabolic state. It breaks down tissue, including muscle, for fuel. So when you wake up, your muscles are literally hungry for amino acids. That's why having a high-quality leucine, rich protein source in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking can have such a dramatic effect. You're not just feeding your muscles, you're flipping the anabolic switch early in the day, setting the tone for metabolic performance, energy, and recovery. Then there's the post-workout window, another crucial time to get your protein in. After you've pushed your muscles through resistance training, they're in a heightened state of receptivity. Blood flow is increased, cellular receptors are more active, and your body is literally begging for nutrients to begin the repair and growth process. If you give it the right protein, clean, fast-absorbing, and leucine dense, you create the ideal conditions for muscle hypertrophy. If you miss that window or delay it too long, your body starts pulling from internal reserves, and that often means breaking down existing muscle tissue instead of building new. Now, dosage is just as important. As we age, something called anabolic resistance kicks in. It means your muscles don't respond to small amounts of protein the way they used to. So, while a 20-year-old might stimulate muscle protein synthesis with 20 grams of protein, a 50-year-old might need 35 or even 40 grams in a single meal to achieve the same effect. This doesn't mean you need to eat more overall, it means you need to be strategic. Each meal should deliver a threshold dose of protein, enough to trigger muscle growth, not just maintenance. And finally, none of this works if your nervous system is in the wrong state. If you're stressed, distracted, or in a highly sympathetic mode, fight or flight, your digestive function is suppressed. Your body prioritizes survival, not growth. So something as simple as taking 60 seconds to breathe deeply, to calm your nervous system before a meal, can increase your absorption of amino acids and improve muscle building outcomes. This is the neuroscience of nutrition, understanding that your body responds not just to what you eat, but the state you're in when you eat it. When you bring together the right timing, the right dosage, and a nervous system that's ready to receive nutrients, you stop guessing and start aligning with your biology. That's when real change happens. When we talk about building muscle, most people think only about physical effort, lifting weights, doing resistance training, pushing harder at the gym. And while that's obviously important, what often gets overlooked is the role your brain plays in driving all of it. Muscle doesn't grow in isolation. It's not just about tissue. It's about the brain-muscle connection, the neurochemical and neuromuscular pathways that activate, coordinate, and regenerate your muscle fibers. And that connection becomes even more critical as we age. As we get older, there's a natural decline in the strength of that signal from brain to muscle. That's one of the reasons why people not only lose strength, but also coordination and balance. The nervous system doesn't fire the way it used to. Reaction times slow down, stability suffers, and muscle recruitment becomes less efficient. But here's what most people don't realize. This decline isn't inevitable. It's actually highly responsive to both physical and nutritional interventions, especially when you know how to engage that brain-muscle feedback loop. One of the most fascinating aspects of this protein we're discussing is that it doesn't just fuel muscle recovery, it also impacts your brain. It stimulates something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is like fertilizer for your brain. It enhances neuroplasticity, supports learning and memory, and most importantly in this context, strengthens the communication between neurons and muscle fibers. In other words, this protein helps sharpen the signal your brain sends to your muscles, improving how quickly and powerfully they respond. So when you're training, especially doing compound movements that require balance and coordination, you're not just building muscle. You're reactivating dormant neural pathways that have been weakened over time. You're rewiring your nervous system to better recruit and fire muscle fibers. And the better your brain communicates with your body, the more efficient your training becomes. You don't just feel stronger, you become more coordinated, more agile, more resistant to falls or injury. That's how you shift from simply maintaining muscle to actually regenerating it, But it's not only training that activates this process, it's also what you feed your body before and after. If you're consuming a protein that stimulates both muscle repair and BDNF production, you're enhancing recovery on two fronts. Physically, your muscles get the raw materials they need. Neurologically, your brain gets the signal, boosting compounds it needs to stay sharp and engaged. That synergy creates a cycle of growth that's far more sustainable and effective than just chasing muscle size alone. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't take hours in the gym or extreme dieting. What it takes is intention. You train with focus, fuel your body with the right nutrients at the right time, and you allow your nervous system to adapt and rewire. Over time, that becomes your advantage, because while others are slowing down, you're speeding up. While others are losing strength, you're regaining it from the inside out. It's not just about getting stronger, it's about becoming more connected to your body than you've been in years. When people hear about a protein that beats eggs, the first question they ask is, how does it compare to whey? And it's a fair question. Whey has dominated the fitness and nutrition world for decades. It's fast digesting, rich in essential amino acids, and widely available. But what often goes unnoticed is how many people experience bloating, gas, or inflammation from it. And when you're trying to build muscle consistently, those issues become barriers to performance, recovery, and consistency. What sets this alternative protein apart is how clean and efficient it is, not just in theory, but in how it actually feels in your body. It's hypoallergenic, meaning it's far less likely to trigger gut irritation, immune responses, or sluggish digestion. And that matters because your ability to absorb and utilize nutrients directly affects how quickly your muscles can recover and grow. If your gut is inflamed, your body can't extract what it needs, no matter how high quality the protein is on paper. What's more impressive is the recovery edge this protein gives. One of the most overlooked aspects of muscle growth is how fast you bounce back from training. The longer you're sore, the less frequently you can train with intensity. But when you're feeding your muscles a protein that not only delivers rapid amino acid uptake, but also supports anti-inflammatory recovery, you recover faster, and that adds up. It means more sessions, more volume, and better results over time without burning out or hitting plateaus. In several comparative studies, this protein consistently outperformed whey in reducing delayed onset muscle soreness, improving nitrogen retention, and supporting lean mass preservation during caloric deficits. That last part is key because many people trying to get leaner lose muscle in the process. But with this kind of protein, the body is able to hold onto muscle tissue even when you're in a slight deficit, which is the difference between just losing weight and transforming your body composition. It's not about reinventing your entire nutrition plan, it's about upgrading the core component that drives recovery and growth. When your protein source supports your goals without causing digestive drag or systemic stress, everything works better. Your training, your sleep, your energy, your mindset. This is about choosing what works with your biology, not against it. Knowing about a powerful, muscle-building protein is one thing, but knowing how to actually use it in your daily life is what really makes the difference. A lot of people get inspired by new science, they hear about some incredible benefit, but then they never put it into action. The real transformation happens when you take this knowledge and build it into your routine, so it works for you automatically without requiring constant willpower or guesswork. It starts first thing in the morning. You wake up, your body's coming out of a fasted, catabolic state, and your muscles are hungry for amino acids. This is the perfect time to take in that fast-absorbing, leucine-rich protein. You don't need a huge breakfast, just a protein shake with 30 to 40 grams of this specific source, maybe combined with some healthy fats or a little fiber to slow glucose spikes, and you've already activated muscle protein synthesis for the day. That one decision creates a foundation of strength, metabolism, and focus that lasts for hours. Now, if you're training during the day, the post-workout workout window becomes your next opportunity. This is when your muscles are like a sponge, ready to soak up nutrients. You've just broken down tissue. Now it's time to rebuild. Another 30 to 40 grams of the same protein, ideally within 30 minutes of finishing your workout, accelerates recovery and turns effort into growth. And because this protein digests cleanly, you don't feel heavy, sluggish, or bloated after taking it. You feel clear, fueled, and ready to move into the rest of your day. Even if you're not working out that day, that second protein dose, maybe in the late afternoon or early evening, can be just as important. The body needs regular anabolic signals to preserve muscle. Skipping protein in that second half of the day leaves your muscles in a deficit. Instead, give them what they need and pair it with a short walk or even light mobility work to reinforce the brain, muscle loop, and then there's sleep, the final piece. No amount of protein can make up for a lack of recovery. Sleep is when the body rebuilds tissue, balances hormones, and consolidates neuromuscular learning. If you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of quality rest, you're undercutting all the effort you're putting into nutrition and training. So structure your routine to prioritize wind down, darken your environment, eliminate late night screens, and let the body do what it's designed to do: repair and regenerate. Over time, these simple habits compound. You're hitting your protein targets without overthinking it. You're training with purpose and recovering faster. And most importantly, you're creating a system that supports long-term health, not just short bursts of effort. This isn't about extremes. It's about consistency, day after day, showing up with intention, and giving your body what it actually needs to thrive. That's when youthful muscle growth becomes more than possible. It becomes automatic. So here's the truth. Youthful muscle growth isn't just reserved for the young. It's available to anyone who's willing to understand and act on how the body really works. Muscle isn't just about lifting heavier weights or eating more food. It's about timing, quality, neural connection, and the right type of fuel. When you feed your body with the kind of protein that not only outperforms eggs but also enhances brain-muscle communication, you give yourself the edge most people never tap into. You don't have to accept decline as inevitable. You can reverse it. You can rebuild strength, energy, and confidence. No matter your age, the tools are here. The science is clear. Now it's your move.